Now passing the time over to our next speakers, Dr. Peter Liu Song and Mr. Azrin Akil.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Asmui, for your kind introduction. I think what today I will be covering a little bit on a quick thingy about what this whole change management is about. I'm not going to go take you through the whole journey, the theoretical part of it. I'm sure that everyone actually knows that how and where to actually get the access on the change management theoretical part. So I think what I will cover today basically is to give you a soft idea on what exactly this whole change management about, and how we can actually structure the process into getting the change management process in place, as well as how do you apply it. And I will quickly touch on the change management framework that I will be able to share with you. And later, my other colleague, Azrin, will actually touch on the IT perspective on the change management. So before I actually start, I think just a quick introduction on myself. Like, I'm the director of talent and development sector in Awantec. So I'll look into training, I'll look into reskilling, upskilling, and also providing some sort of a change management consultancy to any of the organization that actually required any assistance and services, right? So another part where we'll look into is now we are actually looking into Google training capabilities and trying to skill up those public sector as well as the private sector to look into how we can actually assist them into getting Google certification, as well as their competency and knowledge into Google, and through the digital learning pathway, right? So that's about my a quick introduction. I think first of all, I think we have to understand, right, what this whole cloud technology is all about. I think for all those who are present here, please remember the take-home message today is cloud technology is already a revolution. It's no longer a concept. It's no longer something that we can choose, right? There's no U-turn about it, right? We have to move on to adopt to this whole cloud technology, because globally everybody is actually adapting, and also adopting the cloud technology, okay? And we have to actually follow, the trend in terms of how to move, how to improve, and also needs to be relevant in terms of how we actually drive the cloud technology into our workplace, right? There's no more data entry era like before. 10 years ago, we normally, I think CIO will always remember that they will have a temp officers and all this to enter data and all. No, we need to actually move away from data entry. We need to use the smart analytical tools that is actually available freely out there, right? And also to train the technology to be smart. So this is where I think just now there's a question about from the Sumber Manusia, right? They say that, oh, are we going to be irrelevant? No, you will never be irrelevant. The important thing is that you have to remember, you are no more machines that actually putting, keying data and all this. We need to use your brain, okay, to train the technology how to be smart. And this is what we call as a machine learning punya perspective, in terms of you use your brain to train the technology how to what will be the outcome of the particular process or the particular result that you want, right? So I would say that a lot of a question also running around and saying that how to catch up, and whether we still is on prime punya facilities infra are still relevant and things like that. So I think, if let's say I will put it that this one way, the big five like China, US, the European country and all these are going into so-called public cloud access and things like that. So now we actually have to look into are we still contemplating the on-prime and things like that? So I think The question is like on-prem is no longer a question. I think we need to refocus the whole customers, our whole capability into like our more on like a focus on the customer centric, right? Leave the technology to the provider, okay, where they can actually do a huge capability with a lot of brains and things like that that comes to it together. So I'm just touch on this, like why this whole cloud technology revolution is actually important, and how we actually use the change management perspective into changing people's mindset, number one. Number two is like, to actually correct the wrong perception on like why we need to go to the cloud, right? So the another thing is that I would like to say is like, oh, it's like, oh, no, 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 I'm not going into cloud and stuff like that. I think if you stay as status quo, one thing is like, as it is has been proven many case studies and all this, you will be obsolete, okay, and it will be taken over. And this is where I think on the human resource part and all as well, you have to keep yourself relevant. You have to keep yourself like to be relevant to the technology of today, right? Next slide, please. All right. So most of the people will tell me that what is change management. It sounds like it sounds so technical, and like people will say that no lah, only that you don't need the change management and all. But I just have to tell you that one thing is like, whether you like it or not, okay, change management actually happening around you every single day, right? So, however, most of the time, next slide, please, the general perception in terms of like, when you ask about change management, it's like, I don't know lah, or they say transformasi lah, and a lot of the time, change management will equate like it's a training. Dah buat training, I dah buat change management. Very, very wrong, yeah, very, very wrong, right? And they'll say, hey, corporate com punya kerja lah, and then like macam gang celebrity lah, because we are the who ha ha group lah, and all the things like that. And some of the people will say that, hey, change management people are kepochi. Okay, in Chinese it's kepochi, yeah? So I think to translate it directly is like, it's busybody, because change management is something that like we go and probe into every perspective. Whether you like it or not, we go into the technical part of it, we go into the user part of it, we go into the people, process, and technology part of it, right? So it's not as simple, but I can actually whatever the recipe that is coming subsequently, it will make it simpler for you, so that you have that structure in place. You have an idea that how to actually run your whole change management perspective, right? Next, please. So basically, it's like change management in a nutshell. I would say that it's a systemic approach, okay? How to actually convert people, whether in terms of knowledge, in terms of awareness and all this, okay, into a desired future state. Now, I'm touching a lot on the cloud adoption here. So all my talk will be like, I will relate everything into the cloud punya perspective, right? So it's like, like how we actually look into, the misconception on the challenges in terms of technical, in terms of like how we often project the theory versus by most of the consultant, because like most of the time change management, you will actually get people like me, okay, or Azrin and all this to come into it, like, hey, tolonglah buat the whole concept. So if the session is successful, so you don't need me or you don't need Azrin, but okay, no, Azrin will still require because of the IT perspective, but we can come in, but you start building that framework first. And we'll come in and tell you that what needs to be improved, what are the areas that can be actually touched upon, right? So remember, change management is not a theory, right? It is not, it is actually, you have to relate it into the actual individual organization. Dia tak boleh like all size fits all, right? So you need to think the framework is there, but you have to adopt it into the way that how and when and who and what are the changes that is actually taking place, right? So please remember, right? We are building the hardware here. HEART. right? It's not HARD, hardware senang, but we are going, I told you that if it is a cloud technology, we are going away with the hardware, right? But I think importantly, right, the hardware must be implanted, but how you want to, it's like, it's a love story, right? Kalau you say you ask me to jatuh cinta to a girl or something that I do not know. So ini macam arranged marriage, and also so many people are going against it. But you see, so there is no heart, and there is, they will not be able to drive.